If I look at you and your life, I feel as though you're depicting a slow life. And yet you were saying, I need to learn how to slow down. What are you looking to slow down from?
I guess it's a bit of everything.
During our time in Australia, we had the opportunity to peel back the curtain on Anastasia Vanderbyl, one half of the YouTube channel Mother the Mountain Farm.
Over the past 5 years, Anastasia and her sister Julia have amassed nearly 250 million views on their YouTube channel, where they document their lives as regenerative farmers and artists.
60 years ago, Anastasia's grandparents immigrated to the hills of Byron Bay and purchased their family farm, where they planted fruit trees and began the immense food forest they live in today.
When her father suddenly died a few years ago, Anastasia and her sister realized it is now their turn to take over and care for the farm.
This is a conversation of hope. Although Anastasia and her family have poured their hearts into regenerating the farm, it hasn't always come easy.
All of literature and stuff tells you that like society will fall apart and it will crumble in disaster. It's not true, because like we experienced the end of the world for us. You know, it felt like it. It was
Wow.
absolutely terrifying.
What you portray is real.
Body hair.
Oh yeah.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Working online is interesting because
Join us as we get to the root of Anastasia Vanderbyl.
I feel like to give context to who you are, I think a lot of times when we do a pod, our audience has overlapped with the person, or like, I just imagine that our audience would know them a little bit. I don't feel like that would happen with us, which is so exciting. So to give context to who you are, let's go through a morning.
ooh.
One of your mornings on the farm. What does that look like? Don't leave anything out.
Okay.
Start with the timestamp. Like, we just want to get a feel looking out that window that I know is your bedroom window we were just talking about, right? So what does a morning look like for you, Anastasia?
Well, me and my sister live on this beautiful tropical fruit farm, so we're pretty lucky because yeah, we wake up and I guess, I mean, the first thing is always the animals. They need moving and feeding and all the jobs, which sometimes is like a bit tiring, and you're like, if it's raining or if you're, you know, over it, you're like, I don't want to go and walk across the paddock. And
Okay, so let's back up though. What time is it? And have they woken you up? Do you start to hear them first?
Sometimes the goats like really want to sleep in until like 11 o'clock and they won't get out of bed. And like, I'm like,
Whoa.
guys, let's move paddocks. Like, I've got to get on with my day. And they're like, no, I'm sleeping. But I think it's actually, they do it because of like the grass and it's still wet. So there's like microbes and different like worms and things that they can get. So it's actually, they're like doing it for health reasons. So that's cool.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh.
What a lesson in like slowing down.
Yeah, the goats always teach me how to slow down.
So do you ever set an alarm?
No, the sun normally wakes me unless I have like a meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you wake up and immediately you're thinking of the animals. Like, do you have your own routine, or it's get
It's
outside?
Mostly, yeah, animals.
Mm.
Definitely animals. And then, yeah, I let the ducks out of the pen, which is always very joyful because they just quack with joy and they get so excited about food. They love food. And they love cuddles too, but they love food more. Food is their favorite. And then the goats is a lot of fun because, like I was saying before, sometimes you don't feel like moving and walking like a long way in the bush, you know, moving them to a different paddock. We rotationally graze, so we always like different paddock every day, and it's really good for their health. So yeah, you like end up walking down the hill, but the thing is the goats don't follow you if you're walking. Like, they're like boring, so you have to jump and like skip with joy, and then they jump and skip with joy because that's like they like dance. It's so cute.
They follow the energy.
Yeah,
Good
so you
vibes.
have to be happy and like, you know, running around.
So,
and-
even when it's
Wow.
raining and you're like, you know, you had bad
oh,
sleep,
I've slipped
whatever.
over so many times.
Yeah. But you have to bounce.
Yeah, you have to bounce. No choice.
Wow.
How much better do you feel when you're forced to bounce?
So much better.
Sometimes
honestly.
I'm in a
So
shitty
good
mood
for
and
your
Beck
mental
like
health.
makes me physically like dance or shake,
That's
and I
what it
hate
is.
it for the
That's
first
how-
like 20 seconds. And then eventually you just laugh at how stupid you look
Yeah.
and get over it.
And it actually just, something is happening. Like, energetically, you've shaken some energy out and you're like, okay, like, let's have a better day.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I moved them to different paddocks, and then I mean, all of the different paddocks are kind of like different orchards of fruit. There's fruit trees everywhere, so that's cool. So we kind of like normally pick fruit for breakfast, which I always feel so privileged that I'm able to just like
wow.
pick something off the tree and eat it. Like, that freshness is just incomparable.
Yeah.
We brought some fruit.
Yes.
You brought some
I
fruit.
love
We have fruit on the set.
What is that? Let's just get into
This
it.
is a jumbo air.
Chuck me one.
Whoa, are we trying these
Yeah.
live on the pod?
Are they fully edible?
I hope I don't. I thought I was going to hit you on the side.
No, that's perf.
They are edible. They are delicious.
Okay, how do you spell
I
this?
just went into it. Sorry.
Oh,
It's
God,
okay.
I'm bad at spelling out loud, but JAMBU and then space air, like AIR. So I think it means water apple in Indonesian.
Oh, cool.
So-
Yeah, I have to ask you to spell because the accent sometimes.
Well, they're
gets
giving me
me.
like a real mouth vibe, like a full.
I promise
tingle.
I'm not poisoning you. I promise.
I trust you so much.
Is it giving you like a bit of like a
You're having an allergic reaction.
no,
Eamon's slightly allergic to some fruit.
Oh.
not allergic reaction,
me
but
that
like
now.
almost like a dryness in your mouth?
Doesn't sound good.
Is it making
that
it
you?
hard to breathe?
Throat closing.
No?
Mm-mm.
I
think-
really like the flavor, but it is giving me like a weird mouth
Maybe
sensation.
stop eating it.
Oh, yeah, maybe I should.
I was listening to you and your friend said to you, like, what are you working on? Or like, what's something you're moving through? And you said, slowing down. And I was like, are we all just perpetually looking to slow down? Because if I look at you and your life, I feel as though you're depicting a slow life. And yet you were saying, I need to learn how to slow down. Where are you at with that? Because it sounds like you're, as much as you're depicting a slow life, there's a lot of hectic stuff going on with like goats and ducks. And is that what you mean by slowing down? It's a lot of work to be on the farm, or is it the content of it all? Or what are you looking to slow down from?
I guess it's a bit of everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think, we live a beautifully slow life as well. But yeah, the farm work is hard to keep on top of. It's summer at the moment, so that means there's like weeds everywhere and paddocks full of, this invasive growth. The rainforest is intense. Things grow very fast, so the weeds grow even faster. And like, have you guys ever seen lantana? It's this awful weed that just covers everything. So like a lot of our time is just spent pulling that out.
But I saw you guys are like pulling it with your hands.
Yeah.
What, like, is that like an intentional thing or?
Not really. I mean, you can brush cut it, but it just grows back.
It grows back because you got to get it from the
You
root.
got to get the roots.
Ah,
So
okay,
yeah. It's mostly just pulling by
like
hand.
bare hands in a dress. They're like pulling weeds.
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
know.
isn't there a better way for this?
Eamon is like, I think that's the masculine energy, is like the problem solver, always trying to like think of a way to jimmy a tool to do that quicker.
Work smart, not hard. That's kind of like it bred into me.
Yeah, but there's such a beauty in, being barefoot, although I know you're wearing shoes because we were talking before the pod that it's no longer hippie to be barefoot. So I'm like too late to try to be cool.
Look, you can be barefoot.
Okay.
It's just, I've been barefoot for too long.
Yeah.
It was just our 12-year anniversary, and for my gift, I picked out a paper clip chain necklace in Sydney. But I was being cheap, and I got a gold-plated one because I didn't want to spend a lot. And
Told you it was a bad idea.
Eamon literally said, don't get this. And I was like, I really want a paper clip chain. Like, they're all the rage.
I suggested Quince.
You did, which is our go-to for high-quality essentials at a really reasonable price. And I found a paper clip chain necklace for $179, which is 40% less than anywhere else. Everywhere else for an actual gold necklace.
Well, it's real gold.
Yeah.
And you can like wear it in the shower and not worry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you for my 12-year gift.
You're welcome.
I love it.
You're not wearing it.
I'm not wearing it, but I love it.
Quince is priced 50 to 80% less on high quality items by partnering directly with top factories. So they cut out the cost of the middleman and pass the savings onto us.
They also have so many epic options for your home, for clothing, like organic cotton sweaters, linen bedding, organic Turkish towels, and 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters. I feel like when we had Frankie, we took our love for organic food and we brought it into the home. When I was snuggling her, I just wanted to know that I was wearing like a safe fabric. So I tried to switch to like organic cotton sweaters. Quince just has it all.
Plus, Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes.
Big fan of Quince over here. Like you can get anything you need,
Yeah.
high quality, luxury, but not for that crazy price. So give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/reroot for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns, which is amazing. That's QUINCE.com. We can make a Frankie song. QUINCE.com/reroot for free shipping and 365 days of returns.
Back to the show.
You grew up barefoot and then you go into the city, right? And you're learning fashion and studying fashion. what I love about thinking about that phase for you is like, for me, coming from the city to here is like, oh, take your shoes off, like get grounded. Do you have to do the reverse essentially? And what happens to your nervous system when you get to Melbourne?
Yeah, it's the funniest story. So my brother was studying in Brisbane, and we didn't know, but he wasn't wearing shoes. So he was just walking around uni in the city completely barefoot, and he was getting letters sent to him being like, you need to wear shoes, this is not okay, you live in a city, you can't not wear shoes. And accidentally, because he had his home address still as our address, one got sent to us, and we were like, oh my gosh, you cannot do that.
That's so funny. But he doesn't even consciously think, I'm gonna go outside and like choose not to wear shoes. He's just going outside.
Is it the university? Because in Brisbane, like we were just there, and we're full into Byron mode now. So we don't pack our shoes, and we're like grocery shopping, no shoes, no problem.
So you guys are locals now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But it was the university that was like, dude, you have to wear shoes?
Yeah, I think they were all wearing shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, that's your brother's experience. But for you, you get to Melbourne at what age after living in the rainforest for your whole life? What does that feel like?
Yeah, I was 19, and I guess it was a bit of a big change. I think I'd traveled a lot before that, so it wasn't like I was just emerging from the bush being like, whoa, look at these big buildings, escalators, what are they? But
what is this red, yellow, green flash?
Honestly, I still don't understand that. Every time I get on a plane, I'm like, where am I?
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah.
But yeah, it was an adjustment for sure.
But then you ended up loving it, right?
Definitely. And I think I balanced. I lived in a beautiful share house, and we had a garden, we had chickens. So it was really much like I was bringing the country into the city for sure.
Love it. And you went to study fashion?
Yes. Yeah.
So where did your love of fashion, or do you remember a time as a kid getting into fashion?
Always. I used to make teddy clothes for my teddies. So that's probably where that started. And yeah, I just always loved fashion, and then went and studied it. And I think that was kind of like when I almost fell out of love for fashion, because I realized the realities of the industry. And I was a bit like disheartened by it all, and yeah, kind of questioned everything. Was like, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, there's so much exploitation to people and to the environment. Like, I don't know how fashion can be an okay industry. And then I think that was around the same time that I moved home, and I looked around, and I realized I looked at like the way that we were farming, and the way that nature interacts and all of these different things, and I was like, no, fashion can follow these same principles. And yeah, if you always like give back more than you take, then you can create change.
I love it. And you're fully wearing is this all the top and the bottom?
No, the top I got from an op shop.
I love it.
Yeah, secondhand shop. I don't know what you guys call
it.
Oppie.
I know the op shop because I'm in a local now. But yes, we would call it a thrift store probably.
Oh yeah. And then this is made from old jeans, which I got from the op shop. The woman at the op shop, she loves me, so she gives me all the stuff that she can't sell. She was like, I can't sell these jeans, you make something from it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Wow, how cool is that? So do you make your own clothes? Do you make for friends, for your sis?
I'm pretty selfish with it.
Yeah. Okay.
I make my own clothes.
But how cool is that? Like, to just the creative process, what does that look like? You decide you want to make a skirt. What happens next? Like,
it normally is shaped by the materials. So like, yeah, this bag of denim, I was like, what do I do with this? And I think that's like the joy, because I work with recycled materials only. So like scraps of different things. And so you pick up something and you're like, what could be made from this tiny little scrap that's completely like falling apart? And you're like, well, if I matched it with this, then it could be something.
I love it.
So you grew up with this kind of concept, right? Your parents grew up on the farm. Did they like build this farm? They bought the land?
It was actually our grandparents moved to the rainforest in the 60s. So yeah, they moved and just started planting fruit trees. So it's you kind of were aware of this lifestyle, obviously. I'm just trying to, if people are listening, they're like, wow, this chick lives out in the middle of nowhere and like cares for animals. I feel like there is a movement towards people, moving to the cabin in the woods, but even from our experience, like we tried to do a little greenhouse, and there's a lot more than it makes it look like, even just picking a fruit off a tree, right? Like how long those fruit trees have grown. And I guess what I'm trying to get to is understanding, if someone's listening and they're like, oh, I want to do that. Do you think it's as easy as like going and getting a piece of land and starting to live this dream? Or would you caution them that there is a lot of work and
a lot of quiet nights and a lot of, you
It's
know,
definitely hard work.
Yeah.
100%. And it's not something you can do overnight, of course. And I feel like so lucky that my grandparents started this dream like 60 years ago, and I'm still kind of living the benefits from them. They planted trees and I still pick them every day, and I'm like gifted by their actions. Like these little gifts of fruit are amazing. So obviously overnight you can't do that, but I think it's like, I'm always so inspired that like my grandparents did that. They just decided one day that they were going to plant trees. And like, even I always think they planted trees like when they were old and when they knew that they wouldn't harvest the fruit, when it takes 10 years for some fruit to really actually grow on the tree. And they planted them not for themselves, but for those to come. So I think like, yeah, if you like think about it less like that, if you think I want to move to the country and start to build something, and it might not be for myself, but it'll be for someone.
Yeah, I mean, even just like a little piece of land, landscaping, I don't think people realize how difficult it is to flatten a piece of earth or like
Keep the
till
weeds
the
off, like
land
you're
or pulling the
saying.
weeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it looks easy when you throw a time lapse together and you're like, oh, look at them, you know?
Definitely hard.
So you and your sister returned to the farm around the same time, or
Around COVID.
Yeah. So probably 5 years ago now. So yeah, when our dad died, we kind of both realized that it was time to kind of care for the land. And my sister returned and started caring for the earth. And, you know, in that process, she kind of realized as well that the earth cares for you. And I was a teenager, so I moved away and I traveled a bit, but it was always drawing us back. So yeah, it was probably around 2020 since we've both been home, which is a long time now. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy that 2020 has been a long time?
No.
I just want to pause and say I'm so sorry that your dad has passed. I can only imagine what an incredible man he was to have children like you. And I mean, we get such a small glimpse into your life, but what I've seen has just been so, so beautiful. And I think it's so incredible that you're showing that returning home isn't like a step backwards or something. You know, I think there's this storyline out there that like that's not the way we do things anymore, and that's not a successful life by some measure. But I can imagine that your dad is just so incredibly proud of you. You guys are doing amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like idea of success is something in my own head that has shifted so much. Like, yeah, what does success mean? And I always thought you had to like move away from the country to, you know, get a job or whatever. But realizing that you can just live a beautiful, peaceful life in nature has been really nice.
Did he ever suggest that as a possibility, or was he very supportive of your fashion
Yeah, I guess.
dreams? And
I think, yeah, my whole family have always just been very much like, do what you want.
wow, beautiful. Yeah, I'm sure he would just be so stoked to see all this.
Mm.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
He knows.
For sure. And he's like so connected to the land. Like, how could he not know?
We always laugh that he would be like the best YouTuber because, like, you know, he was always just building like ridiculous tree houses. Like one day he'd be like, I'm gonna build a tree house. And we're like, okay, you're a full grown adult, but right, sure.
Yes,
amazing.
that's you. You love that. I love it. I love it. He passed really suddenly, right? That is just such an incredible shock to the system to move through grief. What has your journey with grief looked like? And I know that the ducks have played a role in that, so perhaps we can use them as a way of talking about grief if you're comfortable.
Yeah, the day before our dad died, he brought home a little box full of tiny ducklings from the neighbor's house. So that was like, I don't know, his last gift that he gave us, and it was really special because it guided us through the grief, which is just like, you know, sometimes feels impossible when you've got tiny little fluffy ducks that you can hold and cuddle. It was nice, you know, for sure. But yeah, it's a journey, which, yeah.
100%. Like some days it just hits you out of absolutely nowhere and you're like, how do I exist as just a regular human being today? Like, you know?
Yeah. I remember like the moment that it hit me was like when we were shepherding the sheep for the first time, and the sheep were really like he loved those sheep. They're like, we've had them for like 20 years. They're like dogs. They know their own names. They're so sweet.
Wow.
And we were shepherding them, and you know,
What does that mean?
Like moving their paddocks or taking them up the hill. I think it was springtime, so it was really dry. So we were trying to find more feed for them. And we had to like mimic his herding call, which is like really funny as well because it's like this really Australian, like, come on.
I've heard you say yes.
Yeah, we still do it. And it's like, people have beautiful herding calls. Like, there's like Swedish songs and like yodeling and like all these. And we just say, come on. The heaviest Australian accent you can do.
Oh.
But yeah, just like that, realizing that it was beautiful as well because we realized that like he was gone, but his herding call was still echoing through the hills. And yeah, even like the lessons that he instilled in us were still within us and in the ways that we did things. Yeah.
Yeah, and you embody him every time you come on.
Definitely.
Come on.
Come on.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was good.
Come on, mate.
How do you guys go from like just moving home, being on the farm to deciding to pick up a camera and film it?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. We started on Instagram and then one day my sister was like, let's make a YouTube channel. And I was like, I don't know how to make how-to videos. Like, why would, and I didn't know YouTube had like a different side to it. And she was like, no, like there's lifestyle YouTube. And I was like, what's that? Like, what? And then she was like, let's do it. She's always the like mastermind behind these ideas.
It's so interesting because what I would gather is that you maybe are the mastermind. Wow.
No,
Okay.
she's
It's always
the
the
ideas
quieter
woman.
one. Hey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you guys pick up a camera and did you say there was a duck video that went really viral with a flower in the hair?
Yes, that was on
something?
Instagram. So like we were just kind of documenting our just daily life on the farm and kind of using that as like finding joy in the little things. And one of our little ducks, she was just, you know, a bit tired in the garden and I put a little flower on her head and we happened to be filming at the time and then she fell asleep and it was so cute. And then, yeah, it went viral overnight. We were getting like tens of thousands of followers every day. It was wild.
Wow.
Wow.
So then from there, we just kind of built things and yeah.
Wow. So really almost accidentally.
Definitely.
Yeah. Wow. I love it because like you were alluding to before, there's a movement of people wanting a simpler life, but they move and they kind of document it as they're learning. But you guys have embodied this your whole life. And so I think that's what's so special about your channel is you're just sharing authentically.
Yeah, it's not
what
even like
happened.
it's so authentic that you're not trying to walk in the field with your dress on. Like that's just you.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why it connects with people.
And is that something that people talk about a lot? Like, is this a comment? Like, why are you farming in a dress?
We used to get that a lot actually, and I always think it's funny because it's so practical to farm in a dress. Like I think everyone should be farming in dresses. Like, you can move around, you know, if they've got pockets, they have to have pockets.
I was just gonna say it
Yeah.
has to have a pocket.
Yeah,
Yes.
but like I mean, apart from when there's snakes, you want long pants for that. But dresses are so practical. Yeah, and they're pretty.
I imagine you guys get met with like women farmers. What's the dynamic of being a female farmer? Or I don't know. Is that am I
Well, it's
wrong
a
in
male
thinking?
dominated industry
Definitely.
by
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
It's
And
also
I think
what's the average? There's on average that like the average farmer is like 60 years old and a man. Like it's a really aging industry. So I think being young women that are doing that stuff is kind of a bit strange to a lot of people. So it's kind of nice to represent that. And
I heard a story of you. You were at the agriculture store or something, and you had to tie something down, and he like did it for you.
oh yeah,
And he messed up, and then you went and did it yourself.
yeah.
That must feel kind of good. Like, all right, I got you, boy.
Yeah, but I didn't want to hurt his ego, so I kind of like once he was gone. I had to,
Oh,
like,
you're
fix
so
up.
sweet. I would have been
Sweet
like,
or
hey,
like-
mate,
Yeah.
let me just show you how to do that, buddy.
Yeah, seriously. Has there ever been a time when you guys feel frustrated by any kind of limiting, whether it's a belief that someone had or just even the physicality of it all? Like, do you, yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've got a small body. I can't lift things the way that men can lift things. So that's always frustrating. And, you know, when I have to move I'm building a tree house or something and I'm trying to move something and I have to like get someone in to do it.
Or even your bunch of bananas.
Yeah. Oh,
Are they
my
trying to carry
gosh. I was, trying to
bananas
carry
up
the
a hill?
biggest bunch of bananas and I fell over so many times and I hurt my back for days after that. Not good.
Yeah.
Do not try.
And then what happens when one of you is injured or like out? The farm still needs tending, the animals. So it's just the three of you, your
Yeah.
mom, your sister, and you. So you have to rotate or have an ebb and flow of like, hey, today I need to sleep in kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And my sister struggles with chronic illness. So at the moment, me and my mum are stepping in and doing a lot of the stuff. So that's always a balance of just, working in with each other, which is nice.
Yeah, we would have loved to have met Julia.
Yeah, sorry she couldn't be here. She
No.
was very sad.
No, of course. We'll send her lots of love back. And was today a day that she was struggling with some of
Yeah,
her-
she had a
yeah.
flare up. She's had a flare up with her health at the moment. So she, just has energy level issues. She has ME, CFS. So
I was researching that.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy hard.
so it's just hard to like, commit to anything because you don't know what your health will be doing.
Right.
And there's no rhyme or reason. It's not like a food she ate or bad sleep or any kind of.
She's struggled since she was 12. It's
Wow.
just,
wow.
nothing you
That's
can
hard.
do about it.
But how incredible that she's found a place in life where she can have that peace and that slower pace and say to you guys, hey, this is like my truth and I need this time. Whereas I think so many people have the pressures of life, you know, that they pile on top of something that's already so debilitating.
Yeah, or a
you know?
boss that doesn't understand or
Mm.
whatever.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like an overlording boss.
We got to film
But
today.
Honestly, she is. She's the one that bosses me.
Is she?
Oh, I don't know. We kind of share it. It's good. We're able to like fill in when one of us isn't feeling so well, or like any job that like I'm stressed out by. Like if I'm like, there's too many emails, like I can't do it. I like close the laptop lid, and she's like, it's all right. I feel good with that. And like, there's always something like, yeah, sure.
Sounds like you work really well together.
Definitely. I imagine you guys do too. You got to.
I mean, we definitely have that balance. And I do think like defined roles, even if it's on a day by day basis, have really helped us like
You have
manage.
to.
Yeah. Because otherwise, even as you saw, like we're setting up and I'm like, did you zoom that in enough? And then he's like, I haven't gotten to it yet. And then that's when, if we're both trying to do the same job, it's like, whoa, guys, like dial it back, you know, find the love again. But you and your sister and your mom seemingly have this really great workflow, and it's all just kind of.
Definitely. We all have our own little jobs and joys of it all. So mum likes to film a lot, and Julia likes the kind of like post editing, like the like soft like sound stuff and like perfecting it all. I like the like first I like flying the drone. We've all got different things.
Yeah.
And so
great.
do you guys all like own the YouTube channel together? It's all part of the family and it's like we're all looking at it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to understand because YouTube, I think it sounds like you started as like, oh, let's document. And your YouTube channel has really turned into a massive, like you've got videos that have 30 million views. That's not normal, by the way. Yeah, like that's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm just wondering if those pressures of the finances come in or if decisions like brand deals or comments or any of that starts to get in between the family.
No, we just are doing it for joy, and honestly, like we're just kind of documenting our lives. So it's just what we're doing. So it's we don't really let it get between us or anything.
Yeah, beautiful.
We have so much to learn, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so simple.
Yeah, I know. They're talking about simple living and they just keep it simple, you know? Yeah.
Your mom has no interest in being in the videos more?
Oh, we try, but she's so shy.
Is she?
Yeah, so we always like try to like sneak her into a shot here and there, and she's like, oh, I don't want to.
Aw.
Yeah.
Is she also very creative? Like where your sister's a painter and you're into fashion and making clothing. And I just admire so much people who have hobbies where you at least say you could spend the whole day like just making a dress and doing it for the love of making the thing. Is your mom also really creative in some ways?
Yeah, she's really creative. She's like, her hobby is like LED lighting and things like that. So she recently taught me to cut glass for making windows. That was really fun, and she's creative in so many ways. So yeah,
cool.
obviously my dad was creative in like the building and that kind of like more technical creativity. So I think that combination's been fun.
So cool.
Yeah.
And did you guys go to like a traditional school or were you homeschooled?
We went to a traditional school. Yeah, we would catch the bus in. That was always fun. We live quite far from like, the road. So we decided that we'd take the shortcut and walk through the bush, which is like a probably 15-minute walk instead of like the 20-minute walk along the road to get there. So we're like,
save 5 minutes.
Yeah. So we'd like walk through like the thick rainforest and like, there's snakes, there's spider webs. I would always make my brother go first because he was taller, so he'd get all the spiders out of the way. And then my favorite part was like we'd get to our neighbor's paddock and they have cows, and it's like a cow paddock and it's the steepest hill you could ever imagine. So we got a barrel and we cut it in half and then we'd slide down that hill in the barrel together. And it was really fun. It was terrifying at times, but you'd have to avoid the cow poos as you go. And then we'd get on the school bus and be like,
It's covered in cow shit.
Could there be a better childhood though? Honestly,
Yeah, it does
like
sound
that
amazing.
just sounds so romantic. As someone who has a child now, that's all you could ever want for your kid is to just be so free that they can, create a new way to get to school and open a barrel and, you know, make a thing out of it. It's like, I want that for Frankie, you know? Did you guys ever feel lack of community living 15-minute walk from your neighbors, or does...
Not really.
No.
Yeah, I think it's kind of nice, and you get to know your neighbors, which is lovely. Sometimes, you know, when you're living in suburbia, you don't even know who's living next to you. So, yeah, it's different, I guess.
And like so much time for connection, whether that's with yourself or with your siblings, your parents. It sounds like you've always had a really good relationship with everyone, which is so cool.
Yeah.
What are you guys currently working on? Or do you have, I saw you talking about like a boat and putting a, no, okay.
But it's never going to happen.
Yeah, well,
No
I'm really
way!
curious
Look
about
at-
that design.
Yeah, one day maybe.
It was a beautiful painting. It's just not reality.
Yeah, I think it would flip over. It also has many holes in it. So I think it would sink the moment that we put it in the water. We actually, like, I had all these plans for it, and then we had a big flood that came. So it washed the boat like 20 meters down. That was kind of when I decided that boat project's never gonna maybe it will, maybe one day. But yeah, I do want to build a little house on it.
I love it. Is there something what are you guys currently working on? Because you've finished up your studio space. Where are you now?
Well, yeah, it was really inspiring to do the studio space because, like, we learned to build, which was really fun. You guys know this. It's it's so like liberating to like be able to pick up something and build it with your hands. So that's been like a really, I don't know, inspiring thing. So now I think next our dad built this like little cabin deep in the rainforest. It's next to a little lake, and it's pretty dodgy. Like it's falling apart, to be honest. The roof is like all leaky, and yeah, the floor has gone moldy in it. So we're gonna start on that, which is really exciting.
Cool.
Yeah.
How big's the property?
It's 50 acres.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible.
So yeah, lots of rolling hills with fruit trees, and then there's some deep rainforest gullies, and yeah, a lot of different stuff.
So cool. And what will you do with the cabin? Just fix it up, kind of?
It's always been like a spot to camp. Like I say cabin, but it's more of a shack. Yeah. So a camping spot. There's a tree house next to it, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow. My God, I can't even imagine 50 acres of room to just play and build and just let your creativity run wild, honestly.
It's a lot of fun.
Amazing. So cool.
Okay, so let's talk about Mother the Mountain book published by Penguin. That's a pretty big deal.
You
Whose
guys are a
idea
big
was
deal.
that?
Stop it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We probably spent a year writing it.
Is that Julia's idea as well?
Yeah, probably.
You almost gave yourself credit there for 1 second, eh?
I mean, actually, just Penguin emailed us and they were like, "Hey, do you want to write a book?" And we were like, "Yes." And it
Wow,
was-
beautiful.
I think it was actually in 2022 we had like a massive flood in the area that was devastating, and it was at that time that we were emailing backwards and forwards, and they were like, "Do you want to do this?" And we lost reception, lost all Wi-Fi, like all the networks were down. We were like, you know, everyone was like in survival mode, and we were like, we have to send this email back being like, yes, we want to do it, because we just got it like as it was happening. So we like walked to the top of the hill where there was like 1 bar of reception before that tower went down, and we messaged back being like, yes, we want to write this book. So that was
Wow, so it's a true labor of love.
Oh yeah.
And what is it? It's just your story and photos and...
Yeah, it's our story of living on the land and all the lessons we've learned. It's got paintings and drawings and poems and writings and photos, everything.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Let's talk.
Where do people get it?
Anywhere, all bookshops in the US and Canada, Australia, New
Oh,
Zealand,
wow.
online or whatever.
Is
Local
that so
bookshop.
nuts though?
It's so weird. Yeah, we got like one comment once that was like, I just bought your book from a Walmart in Ohio. And I was like, a Walmart in Ohio?
Yeah.
Wow.
So far away from me.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is so
It's
cool.
so heartwarming. I'm like, oh, our little story is like on the shelves of these places.
I think that's why people are so drawn to you, because you can feel how genuine the gratitude is that you have for the opportunities and the community and the people who are rallying around you guys. Like it's so incredible. It's just so much fun to watch you guys. So I totally understand the mega success of it all. You were just alluding to this massive climate disaster. I feel like more and more these seem to be happening around the world. How are you guys affected by the change in environment?
It's been heartbreaking. It's like just seeing the landscape change in the last, 25 years of my life, just seeing how it's changed. Like when I was a kid, it was reliable. The weather was always the same. And now we've had 2 massive floods that are just unpredictable, bigger than anything that anyone has seen. This last one was the biggest recorded flood in recorded history. So
And
Around the world?
in our area.
Oh, in
So,
your
yeah.
area.
Yeah.
What? I didn't know about it.
And is your house positioned in a good spot? Or?
Yeah, we were okay. So we're on a hill, so it's all right. But like a lot of people in the area weren't.
Wow.
And some people lost their lives, and it was devastating. So we woke up and it had been flooding. So like we got, I think like I'm not sure, a lot of rain, and it was already, the creeks were high, and it floods a lot. Where we are, it's the rainforest. It rains a lot. So I was like, rainforest, we handle floods. It's all fine. You know, I've seen so many floods in my lifetime, and I was so wrong. Then overnight, it was predicted 200 millimeters of rain. And we're like, that's a lot. And I think it was 930 millimeters that we got in 24 hours. So I looked this up. You guys are in Eastern Canada.
Yeah.
So Toronto's annual rainfall is 830 millimeters. And so we got that in 24 hours.
You got more than that in 24 hours.
In 24 hours.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can imagine that on the landscape, like almost a meter of rain on every single surface. Like, where does that water go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So what happens?
all of the creeks turned into like the little trickling creeks most of the time, and they turned into raging rivers. And so a lot of people live by these creeks, so their houses were washed away. And then also landslides everywhere because the earth's so unstable because there's so much water moving down it. So massive landslides the size of, I don't even know, just massive, huge.
Your road was blocked, right?
Oh yeah, for a long time afterwards.
How did you know the road was blocked?
Well, I know Max's road was blocked, I'm assuming.
Oh,
and
wow.
I heard about it in one of their Q&As.
Wow.
I did research.
Yeah.
Good work.
Way to go. Wow. Okay. So what do you guys like? What happens? I imagine these are moments when the community really comes together and supports one another. How do you come together?
It was beautiful. It was like, you know, I feel like, I don't know, all of literature and stuff tells you that like society will fall apart and it will crumble in disaster. And like, you know, like you read Lord of the Flies or like watch any apocalypse movie and it's like, oh, humans are evil and, you know, we'll come back to that. And it's not true.
They start stabbing each other in the back and stealing each other's sugar.
Yeah, no, it's so not true because like we experienced, you know, the end of the world for us. You know, it felt like it, and it was so everyone came together so beautifully. Everyone kind of like found their job. I like hiking, so that was kind of my job, hiking and checking everyone was okay in the first few days. So like you can't walk on the roads because the roads have been completely washed away in every single spot that the creek crosses them. So there's like, yeah, you can't walk. So you have to like walk up into the mountains and then check. So like our first thought was our uncle and his family who live up on the mountain range just kind of above us. Only a few minutes by car, but by walk it's a long way. So me and my brother and his partner got out and we're like, okay, we need to check they're all right. They live by a creek. Who knows what's happened? And like we start walking and there's helicopters everywhere because they're all checking everyone's okay and trying to like, yeah, work out power lines and things like that.
Wow.
And yeah, so we're like can't hear each other over the helicopters.
Whoa, that would be crazy.
But like looking over the landscape and we see like, you know, the mountain above our house is just collapsed.
Looks different.
It's completely
collapsed.
There's just red earth, I don't know, football fields of just, and there's like these, I remember seeing these like matchsticks in it and being like, what is that? Like being really confused. And we worked out they're palm trees. And like these palm trees are like normally 10, 15 meters tall and they're just collapsed inside and you can barely even see them. Like I don't even know what is under that landslide.
Wow.
Absolutely terrifying. So yeah.
Wow.
And after that, our uncle and his family were all right, but the creek had diverted through their house, like underneath their house. So they, in the night through the rain, had walked away and gone to a neighbor's house and were absolutely terrified, of course. And then after that, I walked down deeper into the valley, kind of like into the other side. And there I was, you know, checking on another friend that I thought they live really close to the creek, so I need to check they're all right. And I was walking there and I remember seeing someone and they were on the road and I was like, are you all right? And he points to a caravan that's 5 meters up a tree and he's like, that was my house.
Wow.
And that's how big the water was. Like you can't picture it. Like
no.
Yeah.
Like none of this is making sense to my logic as you're describing like the palm tree being a matchstick and the
to my logical mind, and even like these landscapes I know so well, and like all of the creeks I knew every rock in like better than my own hand, but it still makes no sense to me that they just completely changed forever now.
Wow.
Like on our road it was just like a canyon of just, you just look down 4 meters deep into this canyon of rubble. It was terrifying.
This was 2022.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So where are things now 3 years later?
The society has been building back and
Yeah.
yeah, everyone has been working together mostly. It's kind of surprising. You can't really notice the changes so much, but of course, like we do, like the creeks are pretty devastated and torn away, and there's still these massive landslides scouring the earth. Yeah.
And do you think there's more talk about like flood prevention and like planning and stuff like that, or?
I mean, I guess so, but there's nothing you can do except for, you know, if we address the climate crisis, but like individually there's no way.
No, I mean like
Yeah.
strategically, like reinforcing that the houses that are built by the creek or moving houses location.
I mean, the thing is that this hasn't happened in history. So like these houses, they've existed for the last 100 years, some of them. So they really, it's not their problem, I guess, you know. It's complex. Yeah.
I feel like a big part of your channel is to share your message of hope. So coming up against like this kind of devastating climate event, how do you guys weave in hope, or what do you wish to share with people about whether it's your regenerative practices, or like what is it that you hope people take from your content?
I think at the time we were like, we saw no hope, you know, it was so devastating. But then as things unfolded, we saw how the community worked together and everyone had their jobs. So like, you know, our neighbor made this like community hub, and the helicopters are dropping food because we can't access any food, of course. And so helicopters are dropping food, and we're like sending that up the valleys. I'm hiking it up in a backpack, and we're picking fruit for everyone. And
Wow.
But just seeing how the community came together really made me understand that there is hope for the future, because if we can work in those same ways and, you know, come together and work against the climate crisis, we can make a beautiful world. And disaster kind of showed me that, surprisingly.
I always think that like in these dark times comes really important lessons and learnings if we're just open and our heart is open to obviously moving through it, whether it's grief or a natural disaster. Like these things are horrible, but there is, like Eamon and I experienced an earthquake in Nepal.
Wow.
And same kind of thing of like, you feel like the world is ending and so much has happened, but everyone got together and was, you know, trying to pull people out of rubble and really like rallying as a community. Even as non-locals, you just try to be a part of it the best you can, you know. There's lessons and there's love everywhere, you know. It's crazy.
Definitely.
Where does the name Mother the Mountain Farm come from?
Well, our brother always pointed to the mountains, and there's two mountains kind of above our house, and so one's kind of pointy and then the other's kind of like square, and he'd always point to the square one before we were born, and he'd point there and he'd say, that's where I came from. And then my mum would be like, is there anyone else there? And he's like, yeah, there's two sisters. And so we always kind of like jokingly called it Father the Mountain that we came
Wait,
from.
is he the oldest?
Yeah.
Oh, so he knew two sisters were coming.
Yeah. Bit
Love
magical.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then the one next to it we call Mother the Mountain, and so it's really special to us. It's this beautiful mountain. We hike up it quite often, and it's stunning from up there. You can see the whole valley and everything. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Amazing. We're really hoping to visit because I want to snuggle from Happy the duck. Happy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Happy.
Is he the most cuddly?
Yeah. She's very cuddly. She sometimes too cuddly. She nibbles a lot. She loves a good nibble.
So on your farm, you have how many animals? What's
Too many to count.
can't do
I heard
it.
you want pigs.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I'm going to hold you accountable
Yeah.
because you're building a community garden, right?
Yeah. Well, we were.
Oh,
This was before the flood. So, yeah. It
still
might
maybe
happen.
on a list somewhere in the background.
Yeah. One day.
Yeah.
But all of the animals on the farm are simply there to live.
They also have jobs. So, like, they all contribute in some way. I mean, mostly by being cute, but also, like, you know, the goats eat all the weeds. So they love, like, invasive species. So they go around and they eat, you know, this terrible growth.
Do they get it by the root? Like, is it?
No.
Not so much, but yeah, like with like camphor laurels.
You should train them to do that.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know how. Good goat, bad goat.
Yeah.
They know 40 words, goats. I know.
Wow.
Really?
So smart. So maybe you could train them.
What's one of the more unique words?
Well, they know like good goat. They don't know bad goat. They know come on, obviously. They know go on. That's about it. They know their own names. So each of them, like if you call out individually, will bear back.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you obviously know them all by name.
Oh,
like
yeah.
these, yeah.
Yeah. And every duck, even though to everyone else, they look exactly the same. But I'm like, nope, that's happy.
So obviously happy.
Yeah, that's him.
So like 10 dozens of each animal.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think we only have 12 ducks, 6 goats, 6 sheep, few chickens. So yeah.
So do you sell any of the fruit or vegetables?
No, we used to when we were kids. We'd take them to markets and sell them, but
That's
yeah.
a whole other business.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, the world doesn't really appreciate organic fruit, and there's little bits of they're not perfect, and unfortunately, commercialized food systems only want the most perfect fruit. So that's always hard. So yeah, we've kind of found joy in like documenting it instead. But our parents and grandparents both tried to make money from selling fruit on the farm.
Wow. And would they go to markets, like just the local market, or you're talking about selling to grocery and that's where they're like, no?
Both. So like, and this was before there were like a lot of farmers markets around. So like when we were kids, we'd drive like all the way to the city and some weekends and we'd try to sell like macadamias and kiwi fruit and all these different fruits. And yeah. Like chocos.
It's so amazing because I would just absolutely like if a farmer was near us saying these are my imperfectly organic
tropical
I'd be like,
fruits.
I'll pay triple, you know,
Yeah.
like that is what I do think the world is shifting, or maybe I'm in a bubble, but that is all I could possibly want from a farmer. Yeah. Sometimes I get in my own little like bubbles, I know, and then I get into the real world and I'm like,
when I was a teenager, I sold all the like seconds of the fruit because it was my mum was selling the good fruit, so I'd sell like the little dodgy ones, and I had a little market stall in town, like a little spot that you'd buy from, and it was cute.
Oh, you would have had a great customer here.
Yeah, I remember everyone at school laughing at me so much. They were like, "Kiwi girl."
Kiwi girl. But probably the best kiwi fruit you've ever had.
Good. Yeah, you should taste it. It's completely different.
I know.
Yeah, and when they ripen on the vine, that's the best.
The kiwi specifically, or all fruit?
Kiwis on the vine, amazing. And like I showed a friend a kiwi fruit recently, and she'd only ever had them from the store. She was like, "Why is it so spiky?" I was like, "That's what they like. It's just when they've been, around in a box and stored for months and months that they've lost all their fur on the outside."
Yeah, you'd never know. I wouldn't know.
It's unbelievable how disassociated we are from like the food system living in cities and things. Yeah. Like I just wouldn't know. Let's like drill me on something. Ask me like if I wouldn't know.
Coffee. That's
I have been to a coffee plantation, but I bet you I'd still be horrible at it. They grow on trees?
Yeah, it's a plant, right?
Yeah, I think a tree.
Yeah.
A tree.
And it's like little red cherries.
I tried to make coffee from scratch. This is why I brought
Did you do grow coffee over there?
Yeah, we do. It's actually a weed, so
yeah,
we're kind of careful we don't grow it on the farm, but I got some from a neighbor and I like picked all this coffee. It was like the hardest thing I've ever done. And it made me rethink everything because like I spent a week of full-time work making this coffee. Like I was like picking the berries, and then you have to like de-shell them, or like you put the pulp out and squish it out, and that took me like a full day. And then you have to ferment it and get all this pulp off it, and that took me like a full day again. And then you've got like a shell, and you have to take all the shells off, and then you have to dry it. And I got a dehydrator and dried it for another day, and then it has husk, and you have to get the husk off, and like my hands were aching so much by the end of this. Then you've got to roast your coffee, and I ended up getting this little jar like this big. It was like nothing, and I made the coffee, and I thought it was going to taste like the best thing in the world.
Shit.
So shit. It was fine. No, it was all right. It was just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it has to have a really like volcanic soils to like taste the way that and like it made me rethink everything, because now like every morning I have a cup of coffee, and I've never really thought like, where does this come from? I think on a shallow level, where does it come from? But not on this like depth of how much work has
or if you
happened.
spilt like a few coffee beans in the ground, you wouldn't even think to just like throw it out.
Yeah.
But then it's like, dude, like no, like these beans lived a life. Wild.
It's so cool that you give yourself space to like experiment like that, though. I think I'd love to come back to the question of success and what it looks like to you, because you said you were on a journey with it, obviously going to the city and thinking that's what success was. So how would you define success as you're sitting here today?
Well, that's a good question. I always feel like my hot take is that happiness isn't real. So I guess this is kind of connected, but like I think that happiness is emotion, but it's not a state of being. And I think that's like also success. Like we put this thing on our lives that like, we always think to the future of like, I'll be happy if, or, I'll feel successful if, and it's not true. I think like that maybe that feeling is purpose instead. And so if you have purpose in your life, you can feel kind of whole. And it's that. And I think you can find purpose in so many things. It doesn't have to be work. So you don't have to like think that you have to have a good job to be successful. You can, if you're feeling fulfilled in your life. So if you're like able to, for me, that's creating with my hands makes me feel so fulfilled. So if I sew something or make something or build something, then I feel really good. So I think that's what success is. But it's different for everyone, I guess.
What a beautiful answer. And maybe what an answer to like your life's
That just
yearning.
really hit me.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Happiness is not true. It's not real.
Yeah.
Because it's very momentary, right? Like you might feel happy in a moment.
Exactly.
But you're never going to be happy.
Your whole life isn't going to be happy. You're never going to.
Yeah.
There's always moments of.
You're like
sadness.
striving for something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. And it's probably like capitalism trying to make us feel like we,
Yeah.
need something extra in our life.
Buy
But
this
it's-
car, you'll be
Exactly,
happy.
Yeah. Have this career, you'll be happy. Go
I'm
on a
just like
holiday, you'll be
thanking you
happy.
because I can feel how much it's sitting with you. And I think your purpose is also in working with your hands. And we were
think I'm
literally
feeling
having
that.
this reflection like 2 days ago of what's going to make you really happy, and you're happiest when you're building.
I'm going to go build a window.
Yeah.
Do it. I mean,
I'll send you a pic.
yeah.
And build it for like a week and like really, or 3 weeks. And she's like, a week?
Yeah,
No
good
way.
luck.
Yeah.
I think a day would be a big thing for me. A full day, a full couple days doing a window.
But you can't build this kind of beautiful masterpiece in a day.
You got to build from scraps, mate.
Yeah.
So it changes, like it looks so much better as well. I mean,
Yes.
environmentally one thing, but it's so fun. You've got like a building made from scraps. That's so cool. Has so much character. I can point to like every single thing in our art studio and be like, it has this story before it was this, and even before that, it has this story. Like there's some floorboards that like my parents collected from a place in Byron Bay that was like, I think it was a brothel at one point, and then it was a post office, and then it was being torn down, and my mom went through and collected them all and was like, you're not throwing these out. It's in a burning pile.
Wow.
Now it's our art studio.
So I guess if you have acres of land, you can store, because I'm also like, you don't need to
Be careful,
Eamon
babe.
loves to collect the junk on the side of the road, and I'm kind of like, but where does it live until it has its
Don't stop collecting junk.
Oh,
Yeah,
Junk is the
girl.
answer to
this
everything.
podcast is for you, babe. It's for you.
The thing is,
There's no
I
such
think
thing as junk.
yeah, it's not junk.
I totally agree.
And I have the ability to know, I think a certain type of person, there's a difference between hoarding it and not knowing where it is and it's in piles. But I have that ability to know what's in inventory.
I'm the hoarder.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You have a problem.
straight up order. I love that. So what is your, like, are you constantly just your eyes are open on a drive? Like, oh, I'll take that home.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, even in Brizzy, we were driving to do that hike,
Yeah.
and it was like, put your shit on the lawn day. Like everyone had their stuff out.
My favorite day of the year.
Oh, my eyes were like, and I was thinking to myself, I'm in a rental car in Australia. Like I'm
I
not
don't
bringing,
blame
I'm not
you.
doing with anything, but I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, just
Yeah.
everywhere. Like from the tip is my favorite. Just going around the rubbish tip and being like, that's
Do you know what the tip is?
Is that like the junkyard? Like the,
Nah, it's the
oh.
trash, the garbage.
Is
We-
the
we-
junkyard not the same thing?
Yeah.
Like
Like where-
garbage where
Yeah.
The dump.
you, we call it the dump,
Yeah.
the tip. They call it the tip.
I
yeah.
think I picked that up from maybe Max or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tip. So what?
What, you go through the tip stuff?
Yeah. And there's a tip shop now, which is really
Oh,
nice.
that's cool.
Yeah, so you can go to the tip
So
shop.
if it's less tippy, then it goes into the
but then they have a pile of stuff that they're throwing out, and that's where I got all the glass to make the windows from, because they were like, we can't use this, and I was like, I can.
Wow.
They're like, you can have it.
Okay,
Wow.
I think we have to go to the farm. I think. it's
Yeah, are
just
we
like
invited or we're inviting ourselves?
No, they already invited
Obviously
us.
invited.
Oh,
Yeah,
we would so love to come meet the
Yeah.
animals and yeah.
Pat
Wow.
some ducks, see some
Mm.
goats. The
Mm.
goats are chaotic, I will warn you.
Do they all live in harmony with one another, or is there like some total chaos?
The goats and the sheep like don't really vibe with each other.
I saw a clip where you guys were like talking about the animals or whatever, and the two goats looked like they were having a bit of a standoff. And you guys didn't even
happens.
mention anything, but they looked like they were about to attack each other.
That's probably the two sisters, Magnolia and Moth. They love each other, but they hate each other. So they like.
So they do. There is an alpha goat.
Sometimes they move around. It's always funny. You see them like walking home sometimes, and like Magnolia's like a little bit dumb, and she always is like, "Should I go down this track?" And Moth's like, "No, you're so silly," and she headbutts her. She's like, "We're going this way." So yeah, they all
Wow,
have
life of
characters.
a goat. Let's play real talk.
Let's play
Let's
real
eat
talk.
some more fruit first.
Okay,
What
yeah.
else we got there?
That's real talk.
Cherry guavas?
Yeah, I picked them an hour before I came. So.
Wow.
So this is probably full of nutrition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do we just eat the whole thing or?
Yeah, I mean, Byron,
We make her bite it first just to make sure.
don't eat the seeds, I guess. Oh, you can. Yeah, I think the seeds are really good for you. They do something.
Oh, it's delicious. Really good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'm gonna eat the whole thing.
And then there's star fruit or carambola.
Wait, can I eat this?
Yeah,
I just swallow it.
just really hard.
It's good for you.
Okay.
I
Fiber.
really hope I'm not going to poison you guys.
Can I just say that like what you portray is real. Like you just picked this an hour before coming.
Imagine if they were like they faked it all. They had
No,
like
I'm
lights
not
set
saying
up.
that that's what even happens
we
on
get
YouTube.
those comments. I don't know if you guys do, but they're like, I mean, very rarely. There's beautiful comments, but there's always this one comment like every few months that's like, these girls, they fly in on a helicopter and they go back to the sea and they just fly in on the weekend. And I'm like, and they're like, hair and makeup team. I'm like, I wish, like, oh, that's a compliment that you think.
Yeah,
of hair and
yeah.
makeup team, 'cause I'm like
Seriously.
a bush kid and I haven't showered. Like,
Yeah. Wow.
We used to get comments like that when we were in the van.
mm,
Like people are like, "You
Pay
guys don't
taxes.
actually live in there."
what else would you be doing?
Yeah. We sneak into a hotel at night. Like,
But we actually took it so seriously that like we'd be at someone's beautiful like farm property and like we have a bedroom. Like no, we will stay in our van. You know, we were like
we
really
loved it
trying to. Well, we loved it, and I think a bit of us was trying to prove that we loved it
because we saw
too.
those comments. We're like, "No, we're never."
Maybe I don't know if it affected me like that, but
Wow.
this was amazing.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What's the other one? Star? Who's biting into that too?
Well, I mean, it's got a little bit of
I'm
a
cool
wrong
with
bit
that.
on it. so
Come
just
on,
a
this
bit.
is I
This is
told you,
organic.
We would have been your best customers. Like you could have sold me that for like a premium.
Okay, well,
Premium.
they're at the
I would've-
start of the season, so this is like the first one that's ripened. This whole year, so,
Wow.
yeah.
That's also so cool. I imagine you guys are really in tune with what's ripe because that's what's your like what's in season. 'Cause
Well,
what
that's
you're gonna
juicy.
eat.
Listen to that.
Yeah, they're good. I like them. They're
So this
I
is-
like it.
What is this? Starfruit?
Starfruit or carambola.
Delicious.
I think they're from Southeast Asia.
I
as
haven't
well.
had any of these three.
Oh, that's good.
fruits
That's
before,
what I
so
want
this
to
is
hear.
epic.
Yeah, I was trying to like think like what's fruiting, and I was hoping.
Get it right on the mic.
Oh no!
It's good, eh? Do they have that in like Woolies and stuff or no?
I don't think so. No.
They're just not a popular fruit. Like they
I
have to make
guess I think
commercialized?
a lot of them are also like they don't store that well. So like that's
Mm.
my favorite because like there's so many fruits that we grow that like they will start to rot like within half an hour. Like they'll be gross. So like
Wow.
Jaboticapa is my favorite. It's like in the springtime. These like little berries that grow right on the trunk, and they taste really weird. They're like grapes kind of, and they're so sweet and delicious. And the moment you pick them and you eat them, they're delicious. But like if you try to take them home, disgusting. So they just can't be sold. So I feel so lucky that
They're
I'm,
probably
like-
so good for you.
Yeah, they are. I think they're full of everything.
Antioxidants. and all
everything.
All those things.
Wow.
What kind of diet do you follow? Are you
Just seasonally, just
intuitive?
yeah, whatever's. I mean, we try to eat as much of the own fruit that we grow and things like that. So yeah, whatever's in season, we kind of like mix it together and make something special.
Do you ever have to go to Woolies?
I mean, we go to like the organic store in town, which is nice. and
Mhm.
They sell a lot of local produce, so like the things we can't grow so much. And yeah, my vegetable garden is a mess right now, so that kind of stuff.
You're like, how
do
do
you have
you have time?
chickens?
This
Do you have
is
eggs and
nuts.
stuff?
Yeah, we've got chickens. We've got
Oh, so do you eat your own
chickens.
eggs?
Yeah, but my mum always complains that the ducks don't lay anything. They barely lay. The
Mm.
chickens are much better.
Wow.
The ducks are cute.
We were talking a little bit off camera too about watching you like bake and how you just go for it. Is that how you cook as well? You're just kind of like a freestyle chef.
Definitely, you gotta have some chaos.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
You and Eamon might actually be hectic together. I don't know if we.
Yeah.
He's like freestyle
making
chef.
tree houses.
Yeah. No, but
Just
genuinely,
piles of scrap.
I love it.
All right, let's pull a card.
Let's do it. So this is our conversation starter game because we're all about having like deep, meaningful conversation.
Okay.
And we're just gonna pull a card, see what happens.
Okay.
You can pull a card for us too and ask us anything.
Yes, I'm keen.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Can you tell a lot about a person from their appearance?
Ooh. I mean, no, I don't think. But yes, I guess. I guess it's like the way we represent ourselves does mean something. And I always think that like working online is interesting because you guys would get this, but you're representing yourself, and that's sometimes like a really powerful position to be in. So like me and my sister have a rule that we're like, we have to include all footage. So like if we're insecure about something, like if it's like a shot where like we're leaning over and fencing and we've got cellulite, or like, you know, it's an unflattering angle of our nose, we're like, nah, include it anyway, because you gotta like be a real person. So
Oh,
I
that's
guess,
very cool.
yeah, in some
That
ways,
is
like,
so
yes.
important for women,
Yeah,
especially.
I think so, because I think I feel
Wow.
like myself looking at other, you know, people online, I'm like, yeah, I like to see like the real authentic versions. So yes, I think the way that you represent yourself, you can kind of tell who someone is from that. Maybe.
Eamon always says this, like it's just even like this like style, like the way you've got those boots with it's like you're fun,
But
you
then
know?
people surprise you as well. Sometimes, you know, you have
Totally.
no idea someone's dressed in a boring suit or something, and then you like, yeah, they're really interesting. They're full of
Totally.
character.
But it's still saying something because they chose to wear the suit. So maybe it's saying like, hey, I actually am like a little bit more introverted and reserved and I don't want to draw any attention.
True.
But what I have to share is like so much more deep and meaningful. So it's interesting because my instinct is always what you said, like, no, I don't think that it says anything. Like we're so much more than this body and what we
Yeah.
dress like. But I actually do think it's like our first impression to say like, I'm wearing crochet today, you know? And I took my headband off. Like it's like you're
Yeah.
saying something with all those
Yeah.
choices, right?
I guess so. I guess that's what fashion is, like representing
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you found a new love by making your own clothing? You were saying you were a bit weary of the fashion industry. I feel like
Definitely.
around here too, there are lots of like labels and people promoting slower fashion.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's like my like sadness within fashion was realizing that like I don't like the idea of fashion, which is what kind of we're saying. Like I think fashion is like the concept of how we dress, and that's so like forced by capitalism. So it's more about like trends and consumption and all these things that I don't believe in. I try to avoid as much as I can. So then reconnecting with that, I've come back to like traditional crafts and all of these beautiful ways that you can connect with, like using your hands and making something from scratch, and that's beautiful. So I think that's like less about fashion and more about like dress or the way that you dress. So yeah.
You reminded me of something when you said capitalism, and it seems like you're very much of the personality and of the mindset of kind of making your own decisions. Body hair.
Oh yeah.
I've seen that on comments on your channel and stuff. You decide sometimes to shave, not to shave. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we talked about that in a Q&A, I think, because every now and then we get a comment that's like, why do you have body hair? Which is like so funny, because I think
All women have body hair?
yeah. And we grew up like, you know, in a hippie valley where like it's very much the norm of, you know, women can do what they want with their bodies. And so then like I think it wasn't until probably we started posting on YouTube that we realized like, wow, some people aren't used to this. So I think it's cool to like be able to show women just existing as women, which is really nice.
Totally.
Yeah.
So your parents like grew up, or your mom, like not shaving and sometimes shaving?
She
And
shaves, like it's everyone's choice. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like.
And then didn't you say something about like Gillette? It was like a
Yes,
marketing
that's
strategy.
My favorite fact. It's like Gillette was running out in war times. They had no one to buy their razors anymore because, you know, men were at war and they were too busy to be shaving. So they were like, okay, we need to market this for women. And so they started this kind of belief that like women should shave and like, you know, you're dirty if you don't shave and all this stuff, which still exists in our society today, which is wild.
How do you feel about it?
Oh, I've always been like so chill about body hair, and I think it's crazy that.
But you
there's, like, an
you still
expectation.
have like, you're obviously hold on to it, because like before like a big trip, like you'll go and do a wax and
But I mean,
Yeah.
it's about personal choice. That's the thing. Like, it's about the power of being able to choose, you know.
For sure, and like the not like needing to do any of it, but definitely like I don't think I grew up. I have unwiring and like a belief system that I was raised in that's different from Anastasia.
so do I.
Yeah,
Like we all
so-
do.
No, but I'm saying perhaps like what's so powerful about Anastasia showing this and making that choice is that for her, it literally like she's just like, I don't understand the question almost. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Right? Whereas I was like brought up in the world where it's
Women
very
shave and they
not
don't.
normal.
Yeah.
Exactly. So me doing the opposite is like very counterculture.
Mm.
Whereas you're simply saying, I don't get the question,
Yeah.
which is so powerful. And it's
Yeah.
a different way to come at it. But I'm so glad that like we have representations of whatever it is, you know, I remember when I found Jinty when she was here, the last guest, and like she was talking about not shaving, and I was just like, yes, you know. It was the first time I'd seen someone just be open about it. It's so powerful. Yeah.
Definitely.
And so silly. And like, it really is silly. Like, we're not sitting around being like, so why don't you shave all this off?
Yeah.
Or like, why do you shave it? You know,
Mm.
there's no conversation around it with men. It's just this like thing with women that
Yeah,
to, like, create
men
it.
don't really do anything,
they
right?
do
Like there's no
nothing.
standard to a man.
Actually, the more rugged, often the more handsome, like societally speaking,
Yeah.
you know? Like a little dirt and wrinkle and all those things with a man is like very much sexy.
Mm.
But like women, especially with aging, I feel like we're in a culture of like Botox and like all
Definitely.
these, I don't even know what you do. I've always tried to show up online whenever as I am, you know, and especially if we're vlogging and things like that. So it's, I don't know.
Definitely.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird that we're terrified of aging. I'm like, that's just natural. That's beautiful
Isn't
to
it
age. It's such a
amazing?
privilege to age.
Such a privilege.
Oh.
Such an incredible privilege. Every wrinkle, everything is a story of your
Yeah,
life. It's just,
exactly.
yeah.
What about tattoos? Do you have any tattoos?
No.
Do you want any?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not like against. I just don't have a need for them.
Not yet. Okay, so you seem very even keel, super chill. But
You are.
Anastasia, when was the last time you were really angry?
Oh,
Oh.
that's a good question.
Mm.
Okay. Well, I recently went to New Zealand, and it was really fun. And the reason I went was my friend had flights that she couldn't use, and so she was like, "Hey, does anyone want this flight?" And I was like, "Yes, I want it." And so then I was really excited because I hate the terrible environmental, things that you put into the earth by flying. It's just not good, the carbon, everything. So I was like, oh, it's so cool to be on a flight that has already been bought. That seat's gonna And then I went to do it, and the airline company were like, that'll cost $500 to change the name. And so I was so angry. And so I like got on the little chat bot and they don't even give you a real human to talk to. So I wrote a full essay about like the environmental degradation that they're causing, and then they can't even, bother to get a seat that's empty and let me go in it. That is so disgusting. And this whole rant. And then they ended up being like, yeah, okay, we can, if you pay $180, you can go on FlexiFare, and then we can upgrade you and you can go. So I ended up going. So it worked. Yeah, being angry.
I was just gonna say being angry gets you nowhere, but it
Worked one time.
Being angry with like integrity. It feels like you really hit them with some like, do you know what
The
you're
robot
doing?
was like, please help
Yeah.
her. She seems very frustrated.
I don't know how to handle this.
Oh, that's cool. What did you do in New Zealand?
I just took my tent in my backpack and just ended up camping around.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
so beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
great.
A lot of
Wow.
fun.
Do you
Love it.
guys have like a posting schedule? Do you feel pressure to post? Because like my YouTube brain is like, you went and tented around New Zealand, didn't film it.
Yeah,
That's
didn't
great.
It was too
But
heavy.
I
The
would
camera's
never
too
do
heavy.
it, But I want to do more things and not film it.
We post every week. And yeah, we sometimes have breaks. And I think at that point we were building, so there was like a lot of stuff. So we kind of just
But if you miss a week,
So
you miss a
simple.
week.
She's
Like
like,
it's
who
not that
cares?
stressful. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's not. We always a bit sad if we miss a week, but it's all right as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's watching like Mother the Mountain Farm?
What are your
I don't know.
demographics?
Who's
Bit of
all over the
everyone, yeah, all
world?
over the world. It's always surprising.
Wow.
Wow.
Is
Yeah.
it mainly a certain country? Is it US or is it?
Yeah, mostly US. And I mean, I'm terrible. I don't really look at like analytics. I'm like more into the art side of things. So I'm just like posting it up, and I don't even know who's watching it. I'm just like, here's a video
It's so
for the
great.
world. And I always get shocked, like if like anyone like recognizes.
I was just
me,
gonna
yeah.
ask you that.
Yeah, like at the farmer's market or things like that. I'm
Is
like,
it weird?
yeah, I'm like, you actually watch? Like, yeah.
She's got 30 million views on a video, and she's like, "You watch it?"
Do we have 30 million views of a video?
I don't know,
Yeah.
Eamon. That's a fact check. We'll have to.
Maybe
Anyway,
not. Maybe that's another channel. 30 million.
Sure, it's-
Well, you have
But
some monsters.
millions.
Maybe it's 20 million. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was off
you
by
know how
10
many
million.
people 20
I know,
million
it's
people
a
is?
lot.
It's a lot
I always
of
laugh that, like,
people.
I think because our most viral videos, like, there's always, because we don't like rewatch them really. Like, we just like post it and see, and then we're like, whoa, that's going off. That's nice. And then, like, we rewatch that one, and there's always a mistake, and I think it has to have a silly mistake in it for it to, so, like, I think I'm talking about, like, one of the goats, and I'm talking about, like, her journey, and, like, I say, Moth was just a bebe herself, and I say bebe, and I just laugh at that so much now that like 20 million people have heard me say bebe.
And I bet you they have like an inside joke with a friend who they watch it with. They're like, not the bebe. You know?
Exactly.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's what makes it, even though it's real, that's what makes it even more real. You know? That you just left that in or.
I think you gotta like go with the cringe, you know, if you're posting, you have to. Yeah.
Yes. And I love that you just post and ghost. You're like, I've posted, my art is done, and let me like go back to de-weeding the farm.
Definitely.
You know, there's like, it's just amazing. Can't wait to visit. Do you want to let her ask us a
Sure,
question?
let's do
If
it.
you're up
Oh,
for
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You can actually just pull whatever you want.
Okay. That's fun.
We'll see.
Oh, so how do, they like flip?
Yeah. So one of them is supposed to be a little bit less intimidating of a question in case this is on a coffee table and you're playing with a friend who's like a little more shy, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
But the other one's supposed to be pretty deep. So
am I asking both of you?
whatever
Sure.
you want.
Okay. Would there be more or fewer divorces if people could read each other's minds?
What an interesting question for a couple.
Mm.
I think there would be fewer because, at least as the woman, often I'm trying to read your mind anyways. And I feel like I do have a really good understanding of like who you are, even though you don't think I know what's going on in your brain. I do. And so it would be just clearer communication. And also, you're probably going to like, oh, but if you could see the thoughts in my head, you might like turn away. But then you'd see that I also have thoughts in my head. Like we're all just animals.
I think my
have-
instinct would say there'd be more divorces
because
of that. Because I think that the truth is that I think men in general would have more scary, nasty thoughts than women would. But I think what you're saying is true, and I think we're all humans and we all have these weird, nasty thoughts. And I think if we could each read each other's minds, then we'd be like, oh, we're both psychotic.
like it would almost cancel it out. It's like, oh my God, you were thinking that weird thing, but I was thinking this weird thing.
Yeah.
So like, cool, man, we're just human beings.
How do you feel?
Well, I was going to follow up with a question like, what do you think about the world if everyone could read each other's minds? Like, do you think it'd be a better or worse place?
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Would we just sit here?
I guess, like, no one would talk. We'd just be like, oh.
This podcast, we'd just be sitting here and just be like, well, they all know and we all know.
But what I think, okay, this is like a bit maybe like alternative thinking of mine is like, I do think we can read each other's energy
Definitely.
and minds and like,
Body
we're
language.
saying a lot of things without saying them, you
True.
know? Like,
Yeah.
I think that if we opened up that world of communication, maybe not mind reading, but I think there would be something really special if we all like understood like, oh, my energy is actually telling you like, come in, I love you, you know, or like, please, I need some space. And like, you know, I don't know.
I think
it'd
so.
be
I
a
think
better
communication-
world.
Would we
so
still need to
important.
communicate
Yeah.
though?
Oh, are you saying eliminating verbal
No, I
communication?
think it's still, but then I guess why would we?
Why would
Why
you?
would we?
Right.
I'm saying we would just sit here and it would just be like,
Is that kind of what animals do? Like, that's what I always wonder. Like, do they
yes,
actually? Yeah.
I
so
think it is. I think
And
animals
babies.
are
they're
super
going all
tapped in.
right. Animals are living their life.
Exactly.
Yeah. And babies are going well.
Babies like are just reading the room, they're reading energy, and they're just like communicating. I mean, they scream, so that's like a communication tactic. But yeah, I think the world would be
How
better.
funny is it to think about like if this is just a simulation and it's someone's like little science experiment? They're like, oh, let's give this animal like a bigger frontal lobe and just see what happens. And like all the other animals are like super tapped in and happy.
Right.
And then we're just like these monkey brains doing all this stupid stuff and having a podcast and, you know, like, and fighting and causing the world to heat up and flood and storm. And yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know. Go into the bush and just become an animal. You
Yeah.
can join the goats if you want.
Move to the
Yeah.
rainforest.
I
I'm
did-
sold.
I know. See, it's so.
Would you
interesting.
ever consider having like more people living on the land? Because Max is really trying to build up a bit of a commune and have more community.
It's a nice idea. Yeah, we've got a lot of neighbors. So
We can move in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nice.
But are your neighbors like close enough that you'd just see them, or you have to actively?
Yeah, like we've got like one neighbor and she's got a little 2-year-old, and actually my mum is babysitting for her 2-year-old right now.
Aw.
She's gonna come over for dinner tonight. So it's really nice. The community's really close.
That's so awesome.
Sweet.
Oh, it's so sweet. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to visiting.
Yeah, for sure.
However, I don't know if Eamon told you, but we were supposed to leave tomorrow.
Oh,
Every time we come to this area, we extend. Like 10 years ago.
oh, so you've been here before?
10 years ago, we lived in Melbourne.
Ah, no way.
Mhm.
For how long?
2 years almost.
Oh, you guys are Australians then.
Thank you. But Melbourne is like so different
That's
to Byron.
true. Melbourne's not really Australia.
No,
I
but Byron,
agree,
we knew
no.
Byron was special.
We like went
We-
up the coast and we were coming down like all the backpackers do. And then literally I was like, I don't care if we have no more money. I have to stay here.
Pretty nice.
Here. And then it happened again. We were supposed to be gone like 2 weeks ago and we just can't leave. Like we're supposed to be back in Canada. I'm like, I can't leave. I just
All right,
love
let's end
it.
the show. We can keep talking about this offline though.
Oh, but everyone should know. It's just
Everyone knows. Let's not spoil Byron more than,
Yeah,
than
true,
it
true,
needs to
true,
be.
true, true.
Don't Byron sucks.
Okay.
Don't come to Byron.
All right. Well, everyone, follow Anastasia, Julia, and I actually don't know your mom's name.
Anne.
Anne. And Anne with Mother the Mountain Farm or Mother the Mountain. Shop the book, do all the things, and just thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming in. And I'm so sorry that we got the Queensland, New South Wales time change. Like, I'm so incredibly embarrassed. I don't think we shared it, but we were late. I'm still.
Yeah, we were an hour early for Ginty and then an hour late for Anastasia. So
It's so fine. I do it all the time.
it's
It's
what
been
it is.
so great to get to meet
It's been
you.
so good to meet you.
Thank you for coming on the pod.
Oh, thank you.
Alrighty, peace.